Me now is Charles Burton, former Canadian diplomat in Beijing and senior fellow at Synopsis. He's also the author of The Beaver and the Dragon: How China Outmaneuvered Canada's Diplomacy, Security, and Sovereignty. Charles, thanks so much for your time. How challenging will it be to navigate trade talks with Xi? This is from a Canadian perspective with Mark Carney in light of current trade tensions.
Well, I think that Mr. Carney does face considerable challenges. The big issue for us is the 78.5% tariff on canola seeds. And, you know, the canola export is a major part of the prairie economy. There are 40,000 farmers involved in canola farming, and we produce $12 billion worth of those little seeds a year, of which up until the Chinese imposed the tariffs, we were selling $4 to $5 billion just to China alone. So it's a major issue for the prairies. Prairie premiers would like Canada to remove the 100% tariff that we've imposed on the Chinese electric vehicles. That would cause considerable challenges for the auto sector in Ontario, as the Chinese EVs are heavily subsidized by the Chinese government, and also pose a security threat similar to Huawei 5G because of their capacity to gather data. So you know, he's really between a rock and a hard place here. It could be that he will attempt to revive the free trade negotiations that failed under Prime Minister Trudeau when he attempted to add some gender rights and labor rights conditions back in 2017. And it's also possible that he may agree with the Chinese that Canada can join their Belt and Road Global Infrastructure Program, which would lead to a lot of Chinese investment in developing Canadian ports and land transportation. But all of these things come at a cost, which is not making the Chinese upset with us over non-trade issues like China's interference in our democratic process, China's harassment of Canadians of Chinese origin, including Uyghurs and Tibetans, and China's pervasive espionage in our country. So we'll see what he comes up with. The meeting will take place our time early Friday morning.
Yeah, so with all that in mind, and you laid out the different interests from Canada's premiers, what are you hoping will come out of the Prime Minister's meeting with Xi Jinping, and what should be realistic? What are the realistic expectations?
I think realistically we can't expect very much. I mean, it's certainly true that the Chinese central government can give Canada privileged access to their economy. I mean, they can say, well, we'll take Canadian soybeans and not take so many Brazilian ones. That's because of the nature of their system. I think that they'll only do that for us if we make the kind of concessions that I list. And that would include, in fact, not implementing Bill C-70, which came into law in June 2024, which calls for a registry of foreign agents in Canada. So it's really a question of the extent to which the government wants to prioritize the building of our prosperity through relations with China to counter the U.S. tariffs, or whether we continue to be concerned about China's threat to our security and sovereignty, which, you know, has been a big issue over the past 2 years with the Odd Commission and the revelations which came out in the Globe and Mail and Global News about Chinese malign operations in our nation.
Charles Burton is a former Canadian diplomat in Beijing and senior fellow at Synopsis. Thanks so much for your time and insight today. Appreciate it.
Good to speak with you, Scott.